Denied, delayed, underrated. That's the story for too many veterans, including me. Hey veterans and the families listening in, welcome. My name is Robert Pinero. I'm a Marine combat veteran and the founder of Veterans Educating Veterans. I served 2 tours in Iraq, and like many veterans, I know how hard it is to get service connected and navigate the VA system. After service, I was frustrated, in pain, and told no more times than I can count, even by VA attorneys. So instead of giving up, I decided to learn the VA process myself. That's what Veterans Educating Veterans is built on. We educate and guide veterans through the VA compensation process, step by step, helping you understand how the system works so you can move forward with confidence, not confusion. I do this work alongside my wife, Jillian, and 4 our 2 daughters because our families live with the impact of service long after the uniform comes off. You deserve the benefits you've earned, not just for yourself, but for the family that stands beside you. Welcome to the War Room.
The War Room by Veterans Educating Veterans.
Just a quick disclaimer, this is for education only and not for legal or medical advice. Every claim is different, so don't take this as an individual guidance. All right, welcome back to the War Room. I'm Robert Pinero, founder of Veterans Educating Veterans. Today I'm here with our coaches, James, Cody, and Jesse. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on? How's it
Good.
going, Rob?
Here we are.
How was your ride in?
A little better this time, although I was asked to move seats. Not happy about that, but I made it manage. Managed it. You met what I knew.
How was your flight?
Terrible, man. Got delayed 3 hours. Messed up flight. But we made it. I made it.
Crybaby.
Delayed 3 hours. Sounds like I'm drinking for 3 hours. So that sounds great to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to get into this topic. I actually didn't talk to you guys about this topic. So Governor Newsom, the governor, Newsom, Gavin Newsom, just signed into law in California that they are prohibiting uncredited private companies from billing former military members to help them with their claim. Now, this is effective January 1st, 2027. So I just want to put it out there. What are you guys feeling? How do you think, as a vet, you would feel living in the state of California?
It's
And that sucks.
that's a tough one for sure, Rob. A lot of these veterans, they changed the law, to allow companies like ours to assist veterans in with their claims by helping them receive a private DBQ or disability benefits questionnaire from a private doctor instead of a CMP exam through the VA contracted doctors. A lot of the times, we've heard many stories of VA VA CMP exams, even forcing veterans to try to move farther, pushing them on their back, and then they've even filed complaints and formal complaints against that doctor for doing that. For one, putting your hands on somebody and forcing them to farther, and now they flared their back up. Is a prime example that I can think of a veteran telling me of how the CMP exam went and why they reached out to companies like ours, because they know what some of the moves that they pull. A lot of times also, these veterans go into these CMP exams and they don't know what to expect, and they don't know how to articulate or explain their symptoms completely to the rater, I keep saying the rater, the person conducting the CMP exam, whether that be a nurse practitioner, a PA, a doctor, a psychologist, that's conducting it depending on if it's physical or mental. it can be very difficult, especially for veterans going in for mental. They don't want to articulate how severe it is and come off as weak, broken, disfigured, viewed differently because of this. So they bottle up their symptoms, and they don't get the correct rating that they're entitled to based off the CFR and the M21 that the VA has set forth, because they did not use the correct verbiage or language. So they reach out to companies like us, which allows them to help articulate that first on a written form that gets passed to the doctor, so that the way the doctor gets a full picture before they even do the evaluation of what they're looking for to confirm and evaluate everything that the veteran is relating to them in a true full fashion. So if they, there's a huge population in California. I mean, you got Camp Pendleton, Camp Miramar. A lot of veterans stay out there, myself included. I was stationed at Pendleton. That's just to name a few of the bases of Marine bases that are there. I was really, really looking forward to staying out there. It didn't happen, but I really wanted to stay out in California, but I did end up moving back to New York. So there's a huge veteran population out there also. It's going to limit it's going to put a limit on these veterans and that are able to seek help outside of the VA, because a lot of times there's delays and the treatments and getting seen just for a routine exam. The VA is so overwhelmed, and I'm not just talking about claims. I'm talking about medical services that are provided. I can speak for myself. They're supposed to schedule me for an endoscopy. It was a year out, and I still haven't had it done. It's been 2.5 years because the doctor's canceled on me. I've had to cancel. I'm almost 3 years out now, and I still have not had it done. So what do you do?
Yeah. I can tell you, if I was a vet in California, I would be pissed. I think this is absolute bullshit. Just to give you just to tell a little bit of a story of my own one. And this is not to blanket everybody into one, but I went to my VSO. I went to my local one, and I was essentially laughed out the door because the questions came up. Why did you wait so long? Why did you not do this or not file this? Essentially told me I wasn't going to qualify for anything. If I was in California and that happened there, then essentially where am I supposed to go from there? Because I can't reach out to somebody else to help me through this now. And that's what ultimately led me to reach out to VEV and you guys. So if I'm in California and I'm a veteran, I'm pretty pissed about this. And you're going to tell me the VA system, who has said that they're overloaded, overbooked, is now going to limit where they go to and must go through them, so it's going to increase their workload even more? That just seems backwards to me. Why would you do that? But that's just my thoughts on it.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit. I mean, a lot of those vets over there, I mean, they're taking away a right for them to look for an outside source to help them out, and and it's gonna limit them on seeking that real help that they want. I mean, we know everybody here has vets from California reaching out, and there's a lot of vets over there, and they're all reaching out because the system over there, the VA over there, is not helping them. So it's pretty sad that's taking forward.
Well, my thoughts on this is, number one, as a veteran myself, and as a veteran who almost stayed in California as well, I think, just to echo what James was saying, is that I loved California. I loved the state. It was a beautiful state. The weather's great. But to have been limited to what I can go to now. So just understand, my story when I started educating veterans, was I went to 15 lawyers, accredited lawyers, and they said no to me. From my opinion, they were looking for those huge, what we call Q, which is clear and unmistakable error claims, which would go back years and years of back pay that they would get 20% of. So that's what some of these lawyers are looking for, and they're looking for those top dollars because they are regulated by the VA, and they're regulated in a certain way that 20% is the only thing they can charge. Well, that makes you get people that are greedy, that want to help a veteran only if they can get them $100,000 in back pay where they make 20 grand. While, you know, these companies like ours, which we're unaccredited, help these veterans, not only documentation, not only them understanding and getting educated on the VA laws, but we also help them articulate to the examiner how they feel, what limits they have according to the law. You know, flare-ups is our big thing, right? There's a huge case law about that. And these are all things that no other companies are doing. There have been, the reason we're in business is because we're a need.
Right.
We're not in business because they don't need us. If we weren't needed, then we wouldn't be in business. We would be out of business and we would be doing something else. But that's not the case. The case right now is that these veterans need us. And yet you're letting politics come in the way.
Yes, yeah.
Where they come from or where their motive is, I have no idea. I don't know if there's lawyers out there that are pushing for this type of stuff. But in my opinion, it's complete bullshit. To Governor Newsom, I don't know what story they told him, right? Because let's call it what it is. When you're the governor, you're not the guy behind the scene. You're thinking you're doing the right thing by making that decision, but you're really not understanding the impact that will cause. There will be future veterans who decide to live in California who will not get the proper rating, who will get underrated. And then at the end of the day, this type of law is going to mimic these other states. And then, you know, there are states that actually do see the value of us, you know, one of them being Florida. Florida actually was one of the states that, while, yes, they regulated it, which I'm absolutely all for it. Like, we should have regulation. We should be regulated and told and have background checks, because you don't know what type of people are out there. You know, while me and the rest of the coaches in this room have a good intention of what we're doing and we're just helping veterans get what they're entitled to, there are other people with bad intentions who just want money and who are going to get every dollar out of these veterans. And it's happened in the past, and that's why, you know, some of these things come up. And I understand that, but do your research, right? Nobody gave me a call. Nobody called me and said, hey, let's have a conversation about this.
Right.
How do you do business? You know, what are you doing wrong? Or I don't think you should be doing this. And we want to come up with a law, but we want to be fair. I just want to know where the research in all of this has gone. Where are all these leaders of these companies? When did they meet with the state and say, hey, we're okay with getting regulated? I was fine. Florida, when they did it, I was fine. Yeah, they brought us down from, you know, a certain amount of months that we can collect or whatever, but I was fine with it. I thought that regulation was better than no regulation.
I would agree with that.
Right?
And I can tell you
Definitely
now, the
agree.
research I would be doing if I was in California and a vet is looking for a different state to live in if this goes on.
That's what.
How could you not at this
A lot
point?
more vets are going to try to move out of California.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially what just happened was I've regulated who you can see for your doctor.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to go seek private health care now
Yep.
for your claim. That's exactly what just happened.
They make
Is
the
what's
decision
coming
for
happen.
you because they know best for you, right?
Right. So you are no longer allowed to seek private health care that you feel is more superior than the one that's given to you. I mean, prime example, if you go to a court, do you want the court appointed lawyer or do you want your private lawyer that you're going to hire that's a specialist for this? I mean, it's essentially
Again,
what they
as
just
a former officer, you're going to want that private one that's hired. Just
Right.
saying. No offense to all those out there. But
that's exactly what they just snipped from you.
Yeah.
That opportunity to access that.
I absolutely agree with you guys. Like the one thing I have in this world is I'm able to choose.
Yeah.
Right? I'm able to choose if I want to talk to this person about one thing, if I want to talk to the other person. And one thing that's great about us is that we don't charge to talk to anybody.
Yeah. I enjoy it.
You know,
I love it.
They talk to
That's
us,
smart.
and at the end of the day, they make a choice whether they want to go with us or not. Because we don't charge based upon a consultant, a consulting fee, with upfront.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we know that you're entitled to it, that's when we back up our word and say, well, until the VA recognizes the same thing that we're seeing and that our doctors saw,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we charge a fee. Because once the VA recognizes it, that's when we get a fee. And we kind of work that way because we need to know if people are entitled. There's a lot of people in our system that we think they're entitled to it, and then the doctor sees them and kicks it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he says no. He came here and said this, and we call the veteran and be like, hey, what happened? I don't know. I felt good that day, and blah blah blah. And, we're like, well, you messed this up. And they're on their way. I think in one of our episodes, we talked about this, about the article that came out.
Oh yeah.
And I think that had a lot of influence with Governor Newsom with his decision as well.
I would like to know what was the motive, like, that had them come up with this type of, what was the motive on these politics to do this to the veterans in California?
I think they think that they're helping them.
By taking choices away.
By taking rights away.
But that's typical. Yeah, that's, in my opinion, typical California politics, right? They think they're helping, but does it help? I mean, to me, this is clear cut. This is going to hurt veterans. When you can never take away a choice and help a veteran, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, but yeah, I agree with you. There's probably some underlying stuff here going on, but in the end, this. If you're in California and you're not looking to move, I would get on the ball as soon as you can, because January 2027.
Yes, January 1st, 2027 is the effective date.
You lose your rights after January 1st, 2027. So I would get on the ball as soon as possible.
If you're not already 100%.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get an increase and you're having a difficult time with it, absolutely reach out to us. We have to look at your case and see what we can do. If there's anything we can do for you, we'll for sure let you know, again, free of charge. If there isn't nothing, then, we'll do our best to see what we can. But sometimes the reality of the situation is you are rated appropriately based on your current symptoms at that time. Yep. And we'll let you know that, again, free of charge. Yep. You will not be charged for that services. And I think that's where he was trying to go with this. Was there's we've all heard horror stories. The Washington Post, like Rob was talking about, put out the fraud cases that they found for these veterans claiming to be blind, claiming to be paralyzed for 32 years. I think it goes on to that, where some of these services don't have the best intentions for the veterans, and they're charging them up front regardless of what happens, and the veteran is being taken advantage of. That's not how we operate. Absolutely not. We do not charge you up front for these increases that you did not receive. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. And what do you guys think about the fact that you can't help them submit a claim. That was part of the article and part of the law, is that I can't help a fellow veteran jump on a video screen call, right? A video call, and them share their screen and help this 89-year-old World War II vet submit his claim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I if you want my personal opinion, I think that they know what they're doing in that aspect, to where, in my opinion, they know that some of these vets just can't get that done. And in my opinion, that's one less vet that they're going to have to take care of. And that's just a personal opinion, but the fact is if you've ever tried to do it on your own, which I've tried to at the beginning when I first started going through this, it is like Chinese to me. Everything, all the different options, stuff you can click, unless you have somebody who's gone through that experience and knows what we need to put in there, knows what we need to click and submit, it's a daunting task. And especially somebody who's older, like you said, the World War II, Vietnam, even some younger guys who are not quite as literate, it's very tough for them. And you just took that option away from them again. So you're passing laws to add restrictions to veterans. It just doesn't make sense.
I had a friend, before I did this, I had to help him do his intent to file on a computer. He's like, I don't know how to do this. He's at the time we're younger, like 35. He had no idea. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we got to do. You know, he just doesn't use technology.
Yeah.
And he's not an old guy. Absolutely not. You know, again, make this point. This was before I started working, so I didn't help him submit anything. I just
well, let's not misconstrue it. Let's not misconstrue it, but let me make it clear. So basically the law says if he hands you $20 for coming to his house for your gas, it's illegal, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Better be $50 for California.
Yeah. In California, it better be $50. But if he hands you $20 for your gas, you're basically breaking the law.
Right.
California. Well, as of, once again, January 1st, 2027. And the only thing I can also think of is lawyers get around, and this is personal experience. So what I meant by 15 lawyers said no to me is that I got to 80%. And this was a California lawyer, accredited. Okay. After that, he told me, that's it. You're not entitled to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was a lawyer. Okay. How did I end up finding out about this case law about flare-ups afterwards? I did that. And I hired a professional in that field. And an accredited professional in that field. Right? So this tells you, even accredited people. But he still charged me, even though by the VA regulations, he's not supposed to charge me. He got around it by calling it voluntary consulting and then charging me for something else. So, right, these lawyers are able to also get around it because you're only supposed to be able to charge a veteran according to the VA regulations, even if you're a VA accredited attorney, is if you are doing an appeal for someone. So nowhere even in the VA regulations, which that's where California is basically using federal law, and then they're writing a law like identical to it and making it a state law. Okay. They're going identical to that and saying basically nobody can charge for an initial claim. So even if you're accredited, this is federal regulation, which I'm not a lawyer, but to me, regulations are not laws, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that topic. Regs, right? So they made it into law now. If you file an initial claim and you're like, I think the tinnitus is causing me headaches every single time I get this buzzing and hearing in my ear for 24 hours, I'm going to file a secondary condition for headaches. Technically, you cannot go to a VA lawyer and he can help you, unless the lawyer is going to waive a fee. Now, what lawyer have you ever heard waive a fee? I don't think
I
there's
don't know
been
any.
too many.
Pro bono.
I'm gonna say it's hard work to find now. It's pro bono.
Come on. That's not going to take it's not going to take pro bono time.
Right.
You know, they do, work here and there. They'll do an hour here, an hour there for pro bono,
Right.
There has been some lawyers that have done pro bono. I'm not bashing on lawyers.
The vast majority will not.
Well, I haven't seen too many do it. Right?
Yeah.
God bless the ones that do it.
Oh, absolutely.
But now somebody is doing an initial claim.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, we used to help people with initial claims because we told them how to put evidence together, and whatever you want to call it, advise them or, gave them, how to put it together. And at the end of the day, they could have said no to us even after we told them, and they could have done their own claim.
Right.
Right. So we were giving free advice all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we usually do. And they could do their own claim, and now they're doing it by themselves. That's what California has done.
Mm-hmm.
So they are now alone. Once again, when companies like ours didn't exist, they were alone. And obviously, we started helping people get claims approved. And then we became a problem for some reason.
Imagine that. Yeah,
I think we became a problem for the government's pocket, is what I'm thinking.
yeah, it's easy to say, support the troops until it comes time to open the checkbook for the government. It's easy to say, but to me, what you kind of illustrated is it boils down to accredited does not mean better. It does not equal better, and they want to do what's better for the veteran. They've gone in the wrong direction. It's very clear. You've gone in the wrong direction, Governor Newsom. I don't even know if you know what's going on, but if you do, this is not a good law.
And I'm open to that dialogue with the governor, with anybody of his office. I would like them to come and see a day of VV
Yeah, absolutely.
and what we talk about. And
Let them try and explain why what they did was better for the veteran. I would love to hear why. Because if it is, then so be it. Then great. But I don't think that they can. And I think that they know that they can't, to be honest with you.
I absolutely agree with you. What do you think, James?
I mean, I think you guys touched base on it pretty well, for sure. Yeah, I know. I really don't. I'm kind of lost for words altogether on it. I mean, I get the intentions, the good intentions, what it could be. Obviously, there are other companies out there that I feel can have taken advantage of veterans. Again, I think that kind of falls into the small portion of kind of back to, there's always that 0.1%, people that are faking it, things like that. Yeah, there's companies out there that don't have great intentions for veterans, but we're not one of them.
You don't do mass
Absolutely.
punishment, though. This is mass punishment.
Right.
And
it's not, it's not, I mean, it is going to affect us absolutely because we can't help these veterans.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really being harmed here is the veterans that need the help, that can't seek an outside source now and only can rely on VSOs or accredited agencies to help them. They can't seek outside help unless they leave the state.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna hit one more point. Articulation is probably one of the most difficult parts for a veteran to do.
Yeah.
Even when they are talked to prior and you tell them, remember when you told me A, B, C, because we keep good notes in our system.
Mm-hmm.
When you told me A, B, C, and D, and E. And even though it took you like maybe 2 weeks to get it out of them because they want to be these people that aren't hurting and
Tough. Yeah.
Tough guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. We've been taught that.
Exactly. You've been taught, suck it the freak up and get back to work, right? And now that they're outside, hey, when we spoke on this day, you told me about your flare up. You told me how bad it gets, that you can't get out of bed, right? I get that for the back all the time, right? Or used to get it. I don't talk to many veterans now. I can't get out of bed, and then they go back and they're like, well, it's not that bad. Yeah, when it gets better, it's not that bad, because that's how it was for me. It was 2 weeks. I would be so bad. There were days that I had to stay home all day, had to sit on the couch just like this, couldn't even move because I would lose my breath, right? And that's how bad my flares were, during those 2 weeks. And then when it was fine again, after 2 more, I would kind of forget about it and whatever. And even when you try to go to the VA, it's a 2-week appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So by the time you get to the doctor, by the time I get to my doctor's appointment, if I feel fine, I wasn't going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we force them. We're like, hey, when you go there, even if you're feeling fine today or that day, you're going to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago.
Because it's going to happen again.
Exactly. And
It
it's not going to get
didn't
better.
go away. So
Right?
we're essentially the translators of these veterans to get their stories across, because the VA land is a foreign territory, and you've just got rid of their translators for a foreign land. And I couldn't imagine being there without a translator. So that's what this law does as well. That's crazy to me.
What we want to say is, if there is a deadline, January 1st, 2027, we're here to talk. We're here to help you with your claim. We do have a deadline now. Companies like ours cannot help you any longer after January 1st. I would say pack your bags and leave the state. As for Governor Newsom, we can have this conversation. We can show you what VEV does. Our calls are recorded. You can see that we are here in the best interest of the veteran, and only in the best interest of the veteran. We do what we do to rightfully get what's theirs. And for everybody else who's listening out there, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
The War Room by Veterans Educating Veterans.